Welcome to Let Go, Let EFT, where we are learning and leaning in with you, with your hosts Michelle Puster and Dr. Laura Spiller. EFT is a beautiful model helping people connect with themselves and the people that matter the most, developed by Dr. Sue Johnson.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you this morning, Dr. Spiller?
Good. Looking forward to talking more about affairs and affair recovery and EFT.
Yes. So we're in the second part of our affair series. This is assessment and triage. So
we'll come in with a great big mess.
Yes. Yes. And as much as we want to stay in the emotions and we're going to get to the tango and all of those invaluable EFT tools, we have to do more assessment when there's been an affair. We need to do some information gathering, and because we can't be in the dark, and we kind of need to know how much the injured partner is in the dark. So what comes to mind for you when you think of how maybe it's a little bit different when it comes to assessment with an affair?
Yeah, I kind of think about what attorneys say is they say, don't ask questions that you don't know the answer to. And I'm thinking about our job is to create a safe container, a place where, they don't have to be alone in sorting out this big mess that they're in. But I also, if I don't know where the quicksand is, I can't guide them through this forest, right? If I don't know where the traps are laid and the nest for the predators is, then I can't safely navigate this with them. And just to say, we're not going to know all of that. We're not detectives. You don't have psychic powers. So, and we don't want to rush in and move on to other parts of the therapy until we do have, do the best we can to get the lay of the land and what they're facing. How about for you? What's kind of, what are you thinking in terms of?
Yeah, similar. I want to know some information to help get a lay of the land. And one of the first things I want to clarify is the affair over? And like you said, they may lie to us. I've been lied to. Can't really do a whole lot about that. The only thing we can do is ask the questions directly and give a direct response. If the affair isn't over or something is reignited, that will cause more harm. If other information is found out later, that will cause more harm. So I can try my best to believe what I'm hearing and take it in. And with a little caveat of like, maybe it's not over, but I'm going to set the stage of this is what might happen if we find out more information later. This is what might happen if it's discovered that the affair is continued. So I like to, and also clarifying, I will not engage in couples therapy if there is an ongoing affair. So I need to know, is it over? How did it end? Was the injured partner part of that ending? Was there a text? Was there a phone call? Was there an in-person meeting? How does the injured partner believe that it's over? So I need to clarify to the best of my ability, is it over? How did it end? How long ago did it end? So that I have some idea of, does this make sense to me? Does this story seem believable to me? Does the injured partner seem to believe this story? Because oftentimes it's kind of clear, like, they're like, yes, I know that it's over. I don't trust this person, but yes, it ended on X date and this is what happened. Other times they're like, I don't know. Last week I saw another text message. So it's kind of like smoke and mirrors, very unclear if there's a clear ending. How about for you, Laura?
Well, I just even want to summarize a little bit and slow down around what you're saying, because I think it's so important. I mean, I at least feel like I do more assessment a little bit more slowly and more individual sessions to get some of this information when we're doing affair recovery in EFT than when there's not been this kind of event in the relationship. And I really like what you're saying about, the best we can do is to be clear communicating kind of our limitations as well as setting the expectations for how confidentiality works and the importance of this assessment and this information. So I might even say, we're going to do some individual sessions to get an idea of, I really want to get the affair story from both of you, but I want to do that one-on-one first because I really, again, this is about creating safety, and I want don't want for you to have to filter yourself because you're worried about the emotional impact on your partner.
Mm-hmm.
And in this beginning stage where we're kind of trying to figure out what you guys are facing. And then what you said is so important. Then we really give them, this is why this information is important. This is why we slowed down here. I love Sue Johnson's metaphor. I use it tons. We're trying to rebuild and remodel your house, and we do not want a bomb ticking in the basement that's going to go off later and disrupt all the work that we've done. So I just love that metaphor. I use it all the time. And this is one of the perfect times for that. And then being really clear, like, I'm not going to go immediately and tell your partner what we talk about. I'm going to try, my goal is safety here, and I am trying to be your guide through this. And, there are no secrets amongst the three of us. And we are going to be figuring out how to bring this information forth in joint sessions. And I do not, do work with couples on affair recovery if the affair hasn't ended.
Mm-hmm.
And, I do think it's important for both of you to know where the, injuries are. I mean, you need to both have a full sense of what's the structural damage here and what is our remodeling plan and what are we going to have to, are we tearing out all the pipes? Do we have to like redo all the siding? How extensive is this remodel? And it's not fair for one partner to not know what they're signing up for. And so I try to talk a lot about that, about why it's important to that this information at some point is going to be available to all three of us. And I'm not the secret keeper. I'll hold it for a little while as we work on this process, but you're not telling me and counting on me to keep this secret from your partner. That I can't do that. So just thinking about like how we can set that up.
Yeah, and I love that metaphor. And this is one of those situations where it's frustrating, but it depends so much on, for me, if a couple comes in and there's I'm trusting my gut, like, is there any level of safety, any level of trust? Sometimes it's very clear that the affair is over, the affairs are over, and they're telling me something that was discovered 6 months ago. Sometimes it was last week that a discovery happened, right? So sometimes I will ask a lot of questions when they're both there. And I kind of engaging, like you said, the level of safety. So if it seems that there's very little safety, then I would ask fewer questions and maybe do more psychoeducation like we talked about in the first video. If there is a level of safety and it's kind of like they can tell me a story that has some months possibly between now and when they met me, they can handle kind of sharing more with me. And I love what you said. I can use the individual sessions. We can use the individual sessions to gather more information, more in-depth information. They don't have to filter. They're not triggering each other. And we can hold space for the pain, the hurt, and the anger that's going to be, coming with all of these questions. And we don't have to feel pressure to try to be doing the tango in the midst of all of this, because we are in this information gathering, assessing for safety space. So let's see, I'm trying to think if there's any more clarifying it's over. Sometimes I'll ask very specific questions about, do you see
Yeah.
this person at all? Because sometimes it's someone in their neighborhood. Sometimes it's someone at work. Sometimes it's someone that, so is this someone that you have any kind of contact with on a regular basis? Now, how are we going to handle that contact?
Yes.
What do
Yes.
you want to happen? My suggestion is that if this person reaches out to you or makes contact with you, that you tell the other person, right? You tell the injured partner right away, and
Mhm.
either that you guys make a plan that you don't respond. You know, oftentimes people block numbers, block text, blocks email, block all the blocking, right? How about for you? Is there anything around that?
Yeah, and I'm trying to, you said, first about clarifying it's over, you're really getting that story from the injuring partner and, wanting to know how did the end happen. And part of that, is to also assess in your gut, how over it feels. Um, and then you're also assessing kind of more of that, yeah, even though it's over, how, or if, how much threat to the relationship are they still seeing each other? Um, yeah, I'm thinking about when there's ongoing contact, for the affair partner, but also sometimes there's ongoing contact for the injured partner. I mean, for the injuring and the injured partner. I
Mhm.
have one couple I worked with where the affair came to light several years after the infidelity, but it was with a friend, the wife's friend, and
Mhm.
it pretty much disrupted her whole social network. And so
Mhm.
that took a lot of talking about how they were going to navigate, you know, the change in their entire social network. And if they were, and unfortunately, that's also changing too, as they've gotten some repair and have more confidence in their bond. They're a little bit more able to navigate some of those social events, even with
Mhm.
that person there, the affair partner around, but very tender and very complicated. Um,
Yes. And this is where we can be more directive as well. If it's ambiguous whether or not there was an ending to this affair, I will say you need to communicate that it's over. Or I will ask the injured partner, do you want it to be communicated, this is over, please don't contact me again? Or do you want there to be no more contact moving forward?
yes.
Um, I feel like it's kind of helpful to lean to the injured partner's needs,
Yeah.
concerns, fears. I might have an opinion. If it's asked for, I will give it, but I will be directive, and we need to have some kind of line in the sand that this is over. There's a
Yes.
whole other can of worms, which maybe we won't have time to get to in this, but sometimes there is a child that is coming from
Right.
this
Right.
affair.
And
And
my,
how do we navigate a
mhm,
co-parenting or I think of it as like a divorce, like
yeah.
I think of it in that way because it helps, like, you have two people had a child together and their relationship is ending. What kind of steps do they need to go through? And
But
so
the
that,
child doesn't necessarily have to end or,
right,
doesn't.
although it's not uncommon for the injured person to feel betrayed by any level of relationship that's desired. And so
Yes.
that's a whole big, you know, sort of can of worms to navigate. And it's also a part of the assessment and um, being more directive, seeing what they need. And I think, like you said, with the individual sessions, it might be helpful to check in and ask, like what are your expectations around this relationship ending? Do you feel like it ended? Has there been contact since? How is that handled?
Yeah.
Things like that, so that
Yeah.
you have an idea of, are they believing that it's over? To what degree do they believe that it's over? What are they needing?
Yeah, I think that's good as you're saying. Yeah, we might lean towards the injured partner and what they need because it does vary. I mean, I've had partners who want to be on the phone with their partner saying, for the call, ending the affair. I mean, they want to know it happened. They want to be there. They want to hear it. And I've had others that totally don't want that.
Mhm.
And, are able to believe their partner that that it is over in other ways. And so, yeah, it can really vary a lot. Some that can tolerate a little bit of the other person being in the orbit of the partnership, and others that, really cannot. And I mean, that we help them express that, ask for that, and help the injuring partner respond with care.
Yeah.
Even if they get afraid about the implications of this need for boundaries and protection.
Oh, you said something good there. Help the injuring partner respond with care. And I think it's important for us to remember that as we're doing this assessment information gathering, we are being curious and non-judgmental. I mean, I try to ask the questions as if I'm asking about something very neutral. I'm
Yeah.
not part of this relationship, so I can be neutral. I can,
Yeah.
right? Obviously, it's not neutral for the other person. I'm sensitive to what they're hearing and how it's landing for them. But I want the injuring partner to feel like they're safe with me, to feel like I see you as a good human being that messed up. Sometimes I'll even say to people, you are not your actions. Like, I've done plenty of things that I am not proud of, and I would not want to be held up as this is who I am.
Yeah.
So I'm holding in my heart that this is a good person that made a mistake or mistakes. Certainly there can be multiple affairs discovered. Um, and I just am curious. I just want to hear about this story. I just want to
Mm.
hear how this happened. And I'm going to try to help them, prevent further injury. And I'm going to try to give them information about what's happening for their partner, what they might be
Yeah.
experiencing to help them not create more injury. And I'll even let them know, oftentimes people want to protect their partner by not telling the whole story or withholding information and usually later, and when things eventually come out, the injured person feels worse and more betrayed because it's like, I got this, and then I found out this, and then this happened. So if they know that and I plant that seed, that might help them be a little bit more open and honest. I'll even let them know, when you can be forthcoming, it's like it's a trust building. If the injured partner has to pull information out of you, then they're gonna sort of question,
Yeah.
is that true? Can I
Right.
believe this? What else are
Good
you not
word.
telling me? But if you volunteer information, it's gonna go a long way towards building trust.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I just recently had a couple where the husband finally revealed the identity of the affair partner, and the wife was so relieved because she knew it was in his professional network. So every event he went to, she was worried about whether, who was there and didn't know. Um, but sorry about that. Sorry. So it was a huge relief to finally know who it is, and that, I mean, it reduced her worry.
Right.
Now she only had to worry about those events where this person, might be there, and it was a
Yes.
relief.
Yes, and that's a
A
great
lot.
point. Oftentimes, people's imagination can be far worse
Exactly.
than the reality. And it's like anything and everyone is a threat. And I don't know any information. So I have to, like, everything could have happened. And my imagination just runs wild. And so the injuring partner can really provide a lot of relief by giving basic information, which will probably reduce the fears and the anxieties and the worry and the wonder, because generally speaking, if we don't know, we fill our heads with the worst case scenario and lots of outlandish imagination,
Yeah.
scenarios. And and I also let injured partners know you get to decide how much detail you want. Maybe
Yes.
you don't want to know specific acts or what was worn. Maybe part of your brain does, but later you know, gosh, I wish I didn't know that, or I can't get that out of my head, right? So you might need to think for yourself, what do I need to know and what do I not want to know? Because I
Yes.
can't unknow this once I know it.
Yeah. That's reminding me of two things. I mean, one is a piece of psycho ed that we can drop in is that you can't go back and change what happened to the injuring partner, but you can change the impact on your partner now by being really present to help them with this pain, right? You can be there now, you can change the impact of it, you can change the way that you guys, you know, the amount of safety that you hear around it. You have a lot of ability to be responsive and to create safety, even though this happened and you can't change what happened.
Right.
So I
I
think
love
that's
that
important,
reframe.
you know, because they get, well, you know, yeah. Anyway, we'll go into more of that in future episodes, but we can drop that in. And then also, I like how you're saying that you can tell the injured partner that you get to decide what you know, but I also like to tell the injuring partner that you also can say no, but let's be really clear about that. And let you say, you know, it's too scary right now. You know, it's better to say, don't feel able to answer that. I'm too scared, or I'm too worried, or I'm
Mm.
afraid it's not going to be clear, than to omit or lie.
Ooh, that's so good, Laura. That's so good. And honestly, I haven't given people that alternative option, which I love. I was going to say out. It
Yeah.
probably will feel like a little bit of an out. And that's so true. Otherwise, what are they left with? They have to lie or omit, and
Yeah.
their safety mechanisms are going to be up and running. So this gives them another option so that it's not another lie, it's not another omission. It's I want to answer all your questions, and I'm really scared of how that's going to go or if we can handle it. Maybe we can bring this to Laura next time we come, you
Yeah.
know, like yes.
And even having that client partner being able to talk to their partner about it can be something really new and different in the relationship. You know, uh, going slow there and having them say it's like this fear that you're going to leave me, or that it's definitely going to be over, that you'd never forgive me, or you're going to look at me like I'm just dirt, you know, and it's like it closes my throat and it closes my chest and I just really can't get it out and I'm too terrified. I mean, usually they've never said anything like that to their partner, right?
Right.
So that's already a new and different experience.
Right. So one final piece, I feel like we could talk about this for an hour,
Right.
but one final piece that I'm thinking of is the need for transparency. I will make sure that couples know to the best and to the most possible of your ability, leave phones unlocked, make sure passcodes are available. Um, you know, there's so much that we can have, right? Facebook and Instagram and apps and all these things, like to the best of your ability, make sure that your partner can access this stuff. I don't suggest that people turn on their tracking devices. Oftentimes people already have asked for that and have
Mhm.
somewhat complied or agreed to it. What I will say is be aware that they're imperfect. And so sometimes what is meant to bring comfort can stir up anxiety. I won't say turn them off because I don't think that that's helpful either. It's just being aware this might be a need and it
Mhm.
might be triggering at times for both of you.
Yeah.
And that this need for transparency won't last forever. Nobody wants to be searching through their partner's computer, phone, emails, you know, phone records, on and on and on. Nobody wants this. And this is such a relief, I think, for the injured partner to hear that they
Yeah.
aren't crazy, that they don't want this. And that this need will not last forever. So what I kind of offer is, what do you need right now, knowing this is not going to last forever? Because I know you don't want to be searching forever. And I know you don't want to have someone looking over your shoulder forever and not able to trust you. So it's short term. I don't know how long short is going to be, but this is relative, if it
Not
relatively
forever.
recently happened.
Yeah.
This is very new. You guys are going through something, you are in triage. We're in triage together. This isn't going to last forever. Is there anything you would add to that
Yeah.
piece?
I just like that makes it not prescriptive, but it makes it, because I think when we say, oh, do this, I mean, they think that's going to help them feel better. And, in some small ways, the accessibility to location and to communication devices does help, but it's almost like feeding the anxiety and the uncertainty, and there's no way to reduce the uncertainty completely. There's just no way. And it's really about making space for that uncertainty and to be able to deal with that uncertainty together. And so these are really short-term solutions that are likely to be only partially helpful.
Right. And how empowering.
Best, right, with the tracking and the searching and all of that, because it's the only way to reduce their anxiety. And helping people see that process is good too. And like, oh yeah, this is the part of you wants to just know and would feel better, but it's, and so you look and then you feel better for a second, and then the doubt creeps right back in, and oh, you're so stuck in this, just almost like a slave to trying to
Get
feel
more.
better here with this only tool that you have. And it's really hard that's, right now it's your only tool and it doesn't work very well.
Yes. And I love where you're going next, because after we do all this assessment, which by the way, you might find out more information, things might unfold. So you might come back to this. And in future part of the affair series, we're going to get into just what you're talking about, which is putting the affair, putting the fears, the pain, the need to check and be searching and all of a sudden be super detective or shutting down or getting defensive, all these things that we're going to see in the assessment process. We're going to be starting to put them into the cycle and using the tango because we need to help them communicate about this in a way that is minimizes more pain.
Yeah.
So for a final takeaway, is there a final takeaway that you had, Dr. Spiller?
I think it is, often really messy, and there's a lot in the beginning, and we're not going to really completely know the full picture, but we can give them hope that they're not alone figuring it out.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important message, that we can help them. I'm here with you trying to, assess and figure out, the threats to your relationship and how we go about helping you guys repair and feel stronger.
Yes.
And what about for you? Any takeaway that you feel like is kind of you want to highlight?
Well, we didn't talk about self of the therapist. So I would say assessment's difficult too. You're going to be holding a lot of pain and a lot of possibly chaos and a lot of information. So reach out, have peer supervision. If you have a supervisor, this is a good time to set up a session with your supervisor, but definitely peer supervision is amazing. Have an EFT colleague that you can confide in and talk stuff through and just like maybe unload the stress that you were holding during that session. It's okay for us to need help and support through this, because it is a lot. And the more we can support ourselves, the more we're going to be able to support our clients through it.
I love that. That's a great one.
If there's anything else that you guys can think of to add to pieces that are important in the assessment process, feel free to leave them in the comments below.
And there's a lot of approaches to how to handle affair recovery. So if you've got different ideas, put those comments in the in the comments also, because we're interested to hear all about the different ways that EFT therapists navigate this messy place in a couple's relationship, this painful place in a couple's relationship.
Yes. Yes. All right. Well, we look forward to part 3 in the affair series. See you guys next time.
Thank you.